Hello, and welcome to Home Buying Made Simple. I'm Lisa Williams, broker and owner of Williams and Associates Realty. Today, we're diving into an important step in the home buying journey, the home inspection. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or getting your home ready to sell, understanding what a home inspector does can save you time, money, and stress down the road. Joining me today is Conley, a licensed home inspector with On Point Home Inspections. He works closely with buyers, sellers, and real estate professionals to ensure homes are safe and sound. I appreciate you joining me here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, Kinga, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get involved in the home inspection business?
Well, I've always been in real estate. I've been in real estate probably for about 30 years. And initially, after coming out of the military, I started purchasing properties. And I realized I didn't know too much about them. I had a home inspector. I didn't understand what he was talking about. At some point in time, by being in real estate, the more I learned about properties, the more and more, which led me to being a home inspector. Some of my background is I have a 4-year degree in criminal justice. I then went to school for carpentry, graduated in that heating and cooling, worked in that electrical. Also was in the United States Navy in the construction battalion. And I always wondered, like, why did the Navy put me in the construction battalion? And it appears to me that it just seemed like that was something that God led me to do. Okay. Because I was put in places that, why am I here? And now I am here. I did a lot of volunteer work with Habitat for Humanity, was an energy auditor for some of the CAP agencies or whatever. And so for the last 18 years, I've been a home inspector with On Point Home Inspections.
Okay.
All right.
And what is the role? What does a home inspector do?
My primary role is to protect the client, to protect that buyer, or to prepare a seller to sell their home. All right. But for the most part, what I see every day is different buyers. They purchasing properties. A lot of people, they come from different arenas, so they don't understand, the roof, trees, water laterals, what a pressure switches are in these appliances and how the inducer motor is supposed to work or whatever. So my role, I'm like that guy that kind of walks through that home, breaks everything down to them, let them know, hey, this is what's going to be great for you, or this might be a safety hazard for you or your children. And these are different things that we want to be cognizant of when we purchasing a home. I'm that guy.
Okay. And then some people think that, well, if I have a home inspection, I don't need to have an appraisal. But there is a difference between an appraiser and a home inspector, correct?
That is correct. The appraiser is someone that works for the bank. Their job is to pretty much, if the house costs $200,000, the appraiser job is to make sure that value is there, because the bank is not going to give you $200,000 plus another $10,000 or whatever unless the appraised value is there. They work for the bank. I, as the inspector, regardless of who referred me, I work for the client.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And how do you determine what's important in that home inspection report, or is there such a thing? I really shouldn't say important, but how do you go about doing the inspection?
Okay, well, I look at everything from the house, from the roof down to the foundation and everything in between. With that being said, once I send over that report to my clients, what I do is I color code the report. So things that are of major concern, I put that in red. Things that are minimum, like say for instance, an older water heater, all right, but it's working. I put that in blue. Let's say something is in green. That's a safety hazard. So it even helps the person that don't want to read this report. Another thing that I do, instead of sending people reports that's 100 pages long, I try and condense those reports. Like I said, keep everything in layman's terms so that if your grandmother having a home inspection with me, she can understand everything. Even if her eyesight is a little bit bad, she can read the colors. Okay. So that's what I do. I try and make everything helpful to that client.
Okay. And and I said that, a lot of times, even for real estate professionals, we have our seasons, when it's high, and then when it's low. And there's a difference in the seasons when you're doing your inspections as well, right?
Right.
So when you do an inspection in the summertime, it's different from when you do an inspection in the winter,
Right.
you know, especially when you are in the wintertime, you can't see the roof because it's covered, or a lot of things with the foundation because from the exterior standpoint, as far as grading things of that nature.
Right.
So how do you have a difference into how you actually look at the reports when it's in different times
Right.
of the season?
Even during different times of the season, although you can't see the total roof, you can see different parts of the roof.
Okay.
So I look at that. I can be able to determine the shingles. If I see red shingles, I know that roof is 25, 30 years old. All right. And a lot of things on the exterior of the house tell me what's going on the inside of the house. Right. So I can't tell certain things about the foundation on the outside. However, in the inside of the house, I might see water leakage or different things along those lines. Like I said, I just did an inspection yesterday, and it's a lot of snow out here, right? However, they had wood lintels in the house, and they were bowing, right? So I could still see evidence of a number of different things that, you know, when I come in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long does a home inspection usually take?
It takes me 3 hours.
3 hours.
Unless it's a condominium or whatever, that might take an hour, hour and a half. But it's generally 3 hours, and I'm gonna tell you right off the top, it's gonna be 2 hours and 57 minutes.
Okay.
I walk with my clients, I educate my clients, because that's a big part of it. All right, and I want to explain things to them. But even if they're not there, it still takes me a while, because you're just not walking through a house in 45 minutes. You know, especially with a client, and expecting you to understand everything going on with the house and them to understand what's going on.
And that leads to my next point, is that the client should be there with you when you're doing the report.
I recommend the client be there, especially if they don't have a lot of knowledge about the house or whatever. Especially when you get first-time home buyers, you know, it's a lot of terms, it's a number of things thrown out at them. It is good. On all my shirts, I keep my name on the back of my shirt so people will stay behind me, and I'm breaking everything down to them, down to a ladder. Okay.
Okay. And what are some of the common things that you find in homes that you may, say that this is common, or, place this in the report that you've seen like over and over again?
Well, you see a lot of water leakage in basements, you know, especially in the Milwaukee area. You know, like 85, maybe 90% of the houses have some sort of foundation work that need to be done, whether it's, like I said, basement leakage, bowing walls. I even see, as far as like a lot of roofs, a lot of people get their roofs done, but some of these roofs they get done, we don't know who did the roof. Was it Uncle Willie, that did the roof? What was the contractor? Some people hire the cheapest contractor they can find, and it reflects in the work that I see.
Okay.
So I see a lot of even roofs. So even if it's snow covered, let's just say they didn't use any type of drip edging, they didn't use any type of ventilation, so there's no roof vents on the roof. Okay. And that's important because, we need ventilation to be in the attics, okay? The attic should be always the condition of the air outside. If it's cold outside, it should be cold in your attic. Hot outside, hot in your attic. And that even includes, I can look up on the roof and see how the snow is melting. What's the insulation levels like, okay?
Okay. And are some of those things, are they fixable, or is that like a done deal for a buyer? Especially when you're saying like going up in the attic and you see that there isn't proper insulation, or there's no ventilation. Can those things be fixed?
Everything in a house can be fixed, but at what cost and to who is the question. So we don't want someone that's purchasing a house, they already spending $200,000, $300,000 on the home. We don't want them to come in and have to spend another $30,000 on things that we could have caught at a home inspection. All right, so that's my job, to protect that buyer. Okay.
And so when should the buyer get in contact with you? When should they schedule an inspection?
Right after the acceptance letter.
Okay.
Once they get that acceptance of their offer, that's when they should hire us as home inspectors.
Okay. And how do they go about identifying one home inspector from another?
I don't know. They should call me.
Okay.
They should call me. My reputation speaks for itself. I work with 400 different realtors. I have a name out there. But, the important thing is to make sure you call a home inspector.
Right.
Get the house inspected. If there's somebody that you want to choose in and above me, that's your gut feeling, by all means, but you want to get someone.
Make sure that you get an inspection.
Make sure
done.
you get it inspected. Make sure this person know kind of what they're looking at. If somebody looking at all these nice homes all the time, they might not have the same type of experience. You know, I done inspected gas stations and horse stables.
Okay.
So beyond just these regular home inspections.
So when they get in contact with a home inspector, should the buyer ask certain questions with regards to their background or what licensing that they have? Are there certain questions you think that a buyer should ask?
With the home inspector?
Yes.
Well, there's definitely questions that they should have. Sometimes people think because a person is a home inspector, maybe in Georgia, that they can come to Wisconsin. Wisconsin do have licensing requirements for its home inspectors, all right?
Okay.
But beyond the license, what type of experience does that home inspector have? I think that plays a major role as well, because let's just say somebody good at taking tests, but not really have that experience. Sometimes you can ask different people in the real estate professional. You can ask some of your friends. I just had an inspection where I did an inspection for the daughter, and the brother was at the inspection. And he said he just did the inspection for our mother. Okay. But the daughter buying a house was a surprise, so she didn't talk to the other family members or whatever. So, I think talk to your realtor. What type of experience do your realtor have? Is that realtor working for you? You know, because certain realtors just, let's just be honest, they just want to get that commission sale. Okay. You know, so they don't want the home inspector to be a good home inspector. So.
Wow. Okay. And you mentioned early on, with regards to a seller. So would you suggest that a seller also do like a pre-listing inspection so that they will have some knowledge as to, what a home inspector would actually look at? That's
a great idea. Although as home inspectors, we look at different homes through different set of lenses. Okay. However, that pre-inspection that you get as a seller may prepare you. Maybe it's some bigger items, certain things that you didn't understand. There's numerous times I had sellers come back to me and say, well, we had the house, we only lived in this house 2 years. And then when you came and do an inspection, we noticed certain things that in your report that we didn't see, like in those knee wall accesses. The inspector didn't check, so there's open electrical. If you have kids 2, 3 years old, they play house in those knee wall accesses, right? So what happened if they touch some of those electrical, that open electric? It can be a dangerous situation. Right. I have had on inspections where I go in there, there's vermiculite, an asbestos-like inspection that some inspectors are not familiar with, so it could be dangerous. Certain things can be very dangerous.
And so what would be your best advice that you can give to a first-time home buyer?
Well, pay attention, take notes, talk to your realtor. When you come to the inspection, focus on that inspection. This is business. I think this is the most important part of the real estate process, because this is your last layer of protection. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you don't want to come there and rely on someone else. You want to rely on yourself. You want to rely on that inspector. All right, because there's different means. If you get an inspector that's not really working for you, you may have to sue that inspector. However, I've done inspections where the seller attorney contacted me and said, your buyers didn't pay any attention to you. Can you come on the stand against your buyer? Because now they want to sue my seller, and you clearly have it in your report. So, this is a lot, part of contract law, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, because when you're meeting with the buyer, as a real estate professional, when you're meeting with the buyer and you're going through, the properties, we're typically there 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour. Mm-hmm. But when they're with the home inspector, they're there for 3 hours,
exactly
2 hours and 57 minutes, right. Going through everything. So the timing that they are there, they're learning more mm-hmm. and getting more in-depth information exactly. with the home inspector, because that's basically what your role is.
Right. And they should bring questions along, mm-hmm. and those inspectors, whoever they choose, should be able to answer those questions thoroughly. I have my dentist or whatever. She wasn't allowed to ask questions during the inspection. Well, how is someone, actually my dental hygienist, How is it that someone is going to know? They know all about the teeth or whatever, but they don't know all about the home that they're about to purchase. Why wouldn't they ask a question? We're right there. We're looking at something, you know? So
So, do you think that there are certain myths or misconceptions with regards to working with a home inspector or getting a home inspection done that people should be aware of? What do you consider that a myth, something that you heard of before, but you know that it's just a myth, that's not fact?
just like home inspectors don't really know anything. They're not worth their grain of salt. I heard all these different assumptions. So, however, there's a lot of great home inspectors out here. Some of these home inspectors, to me, are brilliant. Okay, certain guys are brilliant, but also it's just like mechanics. Certain mechanics are brilliant, and certain other ones are not. But we still going to take our car in and get it serviced, correct?
Right.
We don't know who that mechanic is working on our vehicle. We just know in another week that we have the same problem. We need to take it back.
Right.
Right. So I think that's the same thing with home
What you're
inspectors.
doing with the home inspection. So, do you have any other final words for the buyers that are looking, or sellers that may be thinking of putting their home on the market? What should they be looking for?
They should. Number one, they want someone that's going to focus on them and their needs. Someone that has empathy, that can understand. Okay, this is my need. This is my concern. I have a lot of anxiety about this. This is my first time purchasing a home or my first time selling a home. How is this person walking through this inspection with me? How are they working through this process? Are they available when I try to give them a call or whatever?
Right.
Are they responding? Just taking them into consideration. And I think that's where a lot of people fall off, because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know how to give that knowledge to the world, what good is it?
Right.
Right.
Well, Kenya, thank you so much for providing this information with regards to the home inspection. And if individuals want to get in contact with you, how may they do that?
Well, they can call. I have a scheduling team available. The number is 414-339-2876. Once again, that's 414-339-2876. If you call in to get a home inspection, someone will answer the phone. But if you send a text message to that number, it comes directly to me. They can't receive the text messages. Only I can. And I reserve that for if people have any questions later on down the line, a year from now, whatever, they can still get in contact with me. They can call, but they can text as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Kenya. I really appreciate your time and sharing this valuable information. This is Lisa Williams with Home Buying Made Simple.